Sup you beautiful people. Hope you've had a fantastic day. Welcome back to another new episode of What If Naruto was the conqueror of the Shinobi world. If you guys enjoy this what if, comment down below and let me know. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel after watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So now let's start this video. Naruto stood in the Hokage office, and his eyes were on the Hokage and his group. His eyes saw the large man looking at him with a stunned expression, almost as if he had seen him before. Naruto figured that must have been his father. His resemblances were there, even a blind man could see who his father was. But then his eyes saw the guy wearing weird dark glasses. Naruto, be careful, the one with multiple red swords tightened behind his back has Gyuki, the eight-tailed octopus, Kurama warned him. Naruto mentally nodded but said nothing. He wondered why the Hokage had allowed a Jinchuriki of another country to walk inside the village. Still, knowing the Sannin standing behind them was a Fuinjutsu master, he knew the Sannin might be able to keep him in check if he tried to use Hachibei. Naruto could feel the sadness coming from the Sannin, same from a hidden Anbu to his right, and he figured he must be the dog Anbu. Still, his senses detected that Itachi and Shisui were inside the room as well, and both of them had activated their Sharingans. Naruto hoped this wouldn't turn into an all-out war, but he would need to reveal his Sharingan if it did. The Kage regained his composure. He didn't need to ask who the father was, but despite seeing his hair color and blue eyes, he could see the red death glaring at him. His face belonged to Kushina, there was no doubt whatsoever. Damn me and my stupid head, Hokage murmured under his breath, and remembered the debt he had with both Minato and Kushina. Why didn't you finish me? You beat my speed. So why? He screamed at the yellow flash, his body barely standing. His sleeve was cut in several places, a deep cut across his shoulder, but wasn't a lethal one. They hated this feeling. He hated to be seen as weak. If he died here, at least he would die against a worthy opponent. I'm not sure why, but even if I kill you, your brother will never stop. That will only fuel him. They stood quiet and let the words roam around his head. When he had told B about it, he first got a good punch in the face for worrying him and a second punch for telling the yellow flash to take his life. They knew B was probably thinking the same thing. B was about to greet the little Minato when the kitty is the one he's Kyuubi's Jinchuriki, his friends suddenly said. He noticed a sudden stop and wondered if Gyuki wanted to say something else but didn't ask. For real? Damn, I never saw Minato sealing Kyuubi inside his own son, but that's still too much like him, B replied, mentally smiling, remembering the yellow flash. Who's the little fella? B asked, smiling, taking a step closer and pulling out his hand for Naruto to shake. This caused every Konoha shinobi in the room to tense, but Naruto could feel no malice or negative emotions whatsoever. On the contrary, he looked and felt happy to see him, which confused Naruto. My name is Naruto, Mr. 8, Naruto whispered the last part only for B to hear, who laughed loudly. Alikyu Kid Beast started rapping, bringing his fist towards Naruto, who bumped his fist in return. Suddenly they were both in a much different place, and Naruto saw himself standing at the top of Kurama. B Naruto screamed, seeing Kurama. He was about to ask what was happening when an octopus with 8 tails and horns at the side of his head, almost like a bull, suddenly came out of a shadow. Naruto noticed there were 7 other places, but they were covered in shadows, but he noticed each place had a number in the floor. From 1 to 9, he was in front of number 9, and the center of the room was a symbol he had never seen before, yet he felt like he had seen it before. Naruto scratched his head, but no idea was showing up in his head. Ignoring his gut feeling, he turned to look at Gyuki. You must be Gyuki, Naruto exclaimed, not believing that he was seeing another Bijuu. He knew there were 8 others, but still seeing one was pretty astonishing. The guy with weird black glasses was standing on top of him. Indeed I am young kid, Gyuki replied kindly, much to his surprise, but Naruto wondered why he stopped mid-sentence. You're standing at the top of Kurama. That means you go well with each other, Gyuki continued, earning a huff from the demon fox. My name is Killer B. Me and Hachibei, stop it. B nobody cares, Gyuki immediately interjected. Naruto chuckled at their interaction. He had thought the Bijuu were supposed to be big and scary, but so far, this one was kind. It's good to meet you Gyuki, and you Killer B was it? Naruto questions, not understanding what the guy was saying. B was about to speak again when Gyuki said. His name is Killer B, and don't listen to him, he's still a child, and hasn't learned how to talk yet, Gyuki said, earning a hey from B, who was insulted that his friend wasn't backing up his fantastic singing voice. Naruto laughed. Now, not that I don't enjoy having a conversation with you two, but what are we talking about whenever or not we will start a war, Naruto said, looking at them curiously. You don't need to worry, Mr. 9. I will talk with my brother. He wouldn't dare to start any war, B claimed, and didn't try rapping like usual, something that Gyuki found surprising. Naruto raised his eyebrows in confusion. Well, he was happy to hear that his Uchiha family wouldn't have to go to war and risk their lives, which brought a question to his mind. Why? B grinned and crossed his legs. Let's just say it is a debt my brother and I have to the yellow flash and the red death. Naruto understood that he meant his father and mother but didn't say aloud. Despite promising not to start a war, he still didn't exactly know Killer B. Therefore he just nodded his head in appreciation. I appreciate it, Naruto said. While this was happening, both Gyuki and Kurama were having a conversation that neither Naruto nor B heard. The kid? I saw his palms. He's the one? Gyuki asked, still wanting to be 100% sure that he wasn't dreaming. Indeed he is. I have seen him being able to talk with Ashura and Indra. He has already awakened the Rinnegan, but he's not strong enough to hold it for long. I'm sure he will be able to use Rinnegan the moment he awakens his Mingekyo Sharingan, Kurama replied with a hint of pride in his voice. Gyuki frowned. Well, he hadn't spent time with the Uchiha clan. Even he knew what needed to happen for Naruto to awaken it. Kurama knew it as well, but with what Itachi said when Naruto was sleeping and not mentioning subtle hints here and there, the Uchiha clan's situation was not going well. But he wasn't sure what to do. He could tell Naruto, but that wouldn't help much. Naruto wasn't strong enough yet to do anything, and even if Naruto tried to use his power, that only would cause more chaos. Kurama wasn't sure what the future held, but he hoped for the best. You know how strong he can get? Gyuki asked. I know Gyuki, and Naruto has my full support. He needs my help, Kurama stated. Naruto suddenly returned to the Hokage tower, and saw many were looking at them strangely. Their fists were still connected, moving his hand away. The Hokage looked at his brother with a knowing look. He had seen him do the same with Ichido, and Konoha had only one Biju. You the one who killed my shinobi? Hokage asked, but more like a statement. Naruto turned to look at the Hokage, and to his surprise, the Hokage held no malice. He wondered what was up with people of a foreign village, being more friendly towards him than most people of his village. Naruto just nodded his head, and Hokage left out a huge breath. Inoichi Yamanaka had scanned Naruto. Shinobi was found holding Hinata Hyuga in a bag over his shoulder. The third stated with a much more dangerous tone, his tone slightly higher, his pipe no longer on his mouth. While Inoichi didn't actually scan Naruto, the Hokage didn't need to know that part. The third wanted to show Naruto that he trusted his words, and forcing him to have his brain checked by Inoichi wouldn't help with that. The Kage said nothing but turned to the Hokage, and he took his seat. The Hokage gestures for Naruto to leave. The blonde left much to the disappointment of B. Training yard. After leaving the Hokage tower, he reached the training yard, and Naruto created 1,000 clones all around him. Now, all of you will beat me up until I can't move, Naruto shouted with a fist up in the air. Yes, sir, the clones shouted back with fists in the air. Several clones rushed at him. Naruto activated his Sharingan and jumped away. His moon started shining in dark color. Immediately he did several hand seals that were nearly impossible to trace, and he intertwined his fingers as he took a deep breath, drawing upon the chakra within his chest. Fire style. Great fire annihilation. He called out as he then unleashed a torrent of flame from his mouth. The blast of flame, so hot it was red in color, had a massive range and covered the entire training yard. The sea of flame towered everything. The very heat turned the ground into hot melted rock. The same air sizzled from the heat as the clones began a counterattack. Several clones jumped forward and synchronized their chakra. Suten. Sujin Haki, water release. Water wall. In response to Naruto's sea of flame, a massive amount of water was expelled from the clones to meet his attack. Superheated flames met cold water, and the effect was explosive. The temperature change caused the air to suddenly expand and contract, and unleash a shockwave that threw the nearby clones off their feet, before a massive screen of steam obscured their view. Then Naruto himself rushed through the mist and was completely unaffected by the sheer heat, and he got right into the sea of clones. Startled, many of the clones rushed to attack him from all sides. The Sharingan seemed to glow as his eyes darted back and forth and read their movements. Predicting their entire method of attack, he sidestepped the slash from a clone with ease, grasped his wrist and kicked upward to break his elbow, and force him to drop the sword he was carrying. He grabbed the sword before it hit the ground, and spun and slashed the blade into the shoulder of another clone, that tried to stab him from behind with a kunai, and then Naruto kicked him away. It wants to dance. Several clones rushed forward and tossed several shurikens at the Uchiha, who effortlessly blocked with his stolen sword, and ran at them before they could counterattack, and beheaded them with a single slash of his stolen blade. Their bodies puffed immediately. Like a demented dance, Naruto cut a swath of death and destruction through the clone army, without even taking a single scratch. Like a twisted dance, the Uchiha spun, dodged and sidestepped attacks, while deftly landing devastating blows. Another clone, in desperation, then tossed a kunai with an explosive tag in it, and Naruto then caught the kunai in mid-air with a finger, and slapped the paper bomb onto an unfortunate clone, and kicked him into the crowd. He desperately tried to take it off, but the bomb exploded, destroying several clones, while he jumped into the smoke and destroyed several others. Another clone jumped at him when Naruto jumped high in the air, his hands signs, his Sharingan shining. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. A massive ball of fire collided with the ground, causing a huge explosion that threw the clones everywhere. The shockwave ripped apart trees. Naruto calculated that less than half were left. He landed on the ground and waited as the clones rushed towards him. Later, the training ground was desolated to wasteland, smoke coming out of several places around the battlefield, rocks, and earth itself was red and glowing in several areas. Naruto was lying on the ground, his limbs spread, his chest rising up and down. After defeating his clones, he created 1,000 more clones, and used only cold weapons, no jutsu and no Sharingan. Kurama was refueling him with chakra, since Naruto had decided to train harsher than ever before. Kurama, that guy B, he can use Hachibi's chakra to the fullest, right? Naruto asked thoughtfully, and he noticed the chakra of B. Despite being a friend with Kurama from the very beginning, Gyuki's whole chakra was freely moving around B's chakra network. Indeed he can, I haven't seen him, but if I had to guess, he might be able to control all tails worth of chakra, and even transform into Gyuki, Kurama replied, thinking that it might be about time to start training Naruto in how to use his chakra. Naruto figured that he might need to use Kurama's chakra, of course only with his permission. Kurama, would you allow me to train in controlling your chakra? Naruto requested. You can, brat, but we will start with only one tail. Having too many tails immediately might be an overdrive even for the likes of you, Kurama responded, not mentioning that Naruto needed to get rid of his dark side, to fully be able to use his chakra, and get access to KCM, Kurama chakra mode. Naruto mentally thanked his furball friend for allowing him. I can still hear your thoughts, brat, who are you calling a furball? After 1 month, Naruto was looking outside the window. It had been 3 weeks since the Kumo team had left. Itachi told him that Hokage admitted the order and took full responsibility for it. In return, Hokage wouldn't spread the word, and Kumo wouldn't be shamed in the process. The Kage signed an agreement to be a neutral friendship, and it meant they weren't enemies, but neither allies. Much to his surprise, Hokage had asked about Naruto, and if it would be alright to develop their friendship in the near future. Sadly in that part, Hiruzen had ordered all his Anbu except Shikaku to leave. Whatever offer Hokage suggested, no one knew. Naruto didn't ask them. While he stayed in the village, B would spend every day with the little blonde, much to his happiness. I have another friend. Naruto thought happy, much to young Uzumaki's surprise. B told him about a girl named Yujito. Apparently, she was the Jinchuriki of Two-Tails Cat. When B mentioned her, Kurama had started grumbling. Naruto was walking around the Konoha streets with B. The blonde, of course, could feel at least 7 Anbu following them from the shadows, and he could tell one of them was Shusei, who was staying in guard all the time, especially when B sometimes would slap his back in a friendly manner. So, Naruto, do you know any place worth visiting? B asked with a carefree tone. Usually, he would try rapping, but Naruto was only a kid, and probably wouldn't understand half of his words. He couldn't help but notice the glares coming from the civilians. Some were glaring at him, most probably they had heard about what Kumo tried to do to the Hyuga heiress, but much to his surprise, almost everyone was glaring at the little ball of sunshine walking beside him. He felt terrible for him. It didn't take long to realize that Naruto wasn't living with anyone. And if people glared at him every single day like this, he wondered how this would affect him, or maybe it has already affected him. Ichiraku Ramen is a good restaurant. They make the best ramen in the world, Naruto stated. Then let's go, little blonde, lead the way, B shouted with his fist up in the air. After eating, Naruto figured B might like the shops around the village, perhaps buy a souvenir or something, or purchase extra weird glasses. Both Naruto and B spent the entire day together. Naruto was busy telling him about his life. By half of the day, B started teaching him the art of rapping. At first, Naruto was skeptical but decided to listen to him. At the end of the day, Naruto could sing something. B called it progress and promised to teach more in the future. Tell me, young sunshine, have you thought to start training in controlling Kyuubi's chakra? B asked with a low tone. Not yet, Kurama says I will start once I'm ready. According to him, Naruto replied. In that case, let me give you a few tips. First, the hardest tail to control will always be the first, in your case, the 4th and the 9th tail. Once you control the first tail, you can easily go up to 3 tails, but 4 tails are where it gets tricky. Going from 3 to 4 tails is much harder than going from 0 to 3. Second advice, since Kurama is your friend, will make it a bit easier not to go berserk, but don't think that won't happen, so don't go overboard. Third, only try in a secured environment. Fourth, think of good memories whenever you try to use an extra tail. B finished, and they bumped their fists. Thank you, B-sensei, Naruto said smiling. Naruto remembered the day with a smile, and B promised to meet again as soon as possible. Hokage had taken a week to make a deal with the Hokage, whatever that meant. The blonde just hoped that the Hokage wouldn't force him into anything. Now soon, the academy would start. Naruto wasn't that much looking forward to it, but he figured he could make new friends. To save Hinata Hyuga, her mother and father visited his home one day. They were both surprised to see an actual clear home with nothing on the carpet or just in a mess. Both had personally thanked him and told him that Hyuga clan would always be there for him if he ever needed anything. Naruto said that it had been nothing and he just protected someone when they needed help. Hiashi also told him that Hinata would be in the same year as him in the academy. Naruto just nodded his head at that, and they soon left home. Just like that, a year passed away. Naruto slowly reached 7 years old and 1 year spent in the academy. After 1 year, the 7-year-old Naruto was making his way to the academy. He looked forward to spending time with the brains of the school, Shikamaru. With a smile on his face, he turned around and saw trees with red leaves in the Uchiha compound. The leaves were falling in the ground. He couldn't help but feel dread suddenly. Almost as if something will soon happen. Deciding to ignore it, he kept walking towards the academy. From a tree, when Uchiha Shisui looked down at his little brother with concern. This is why I'm doing this, Naruto. He made his way towards the academy. He still remembered the first day. Thankfully Shikamaru and Choji were there. He thought back to the first day of the academy a year ago. Inside, Naruto found that he was the third person to arrive. Looking over towards the back, he saw a boy with an oversized green jacket and sunglasses. He must be shy or something to hide in a jacket like that, Naruto thought. By the window, he looked over the other occupant, a raven-haired boy in a navy blue shirt and tan shorts with a fan symbol on his back, so the emo had decided to grace us with his presence. Taking a seat in the middle of the classroom, he waited for everyone else to arrive. Meanwhile, he went through his backpack to make sure he had all of his books and utensils. Kids started to rush in, not wanting to be late for the first day. Sitting in the same booth as him to his right was a dark-haired boy with a ponytail that oddly resembled a pineapple, looking like he just woke up for the first time in his life. Next to him and further down in the rightmost spot was a chubby kid with swirls on his cheeks, happily munching on what he guessed was barbecue chips, if the smell was anything to go by. Looking up from his roommates, he saw a man in standard Chunin clothing with a horizontal scar along his nose. Iruka cleared his throat to get everyone's attention. Welcome to your first day at the academy. My name is Iruka Yumino, and I will be your sensei until you graduate. Congratulations on passing the entrance exam and taking the first steps in becoming a leaf shinobi. Note, however, that it only gets harder from here. Today will be an introduction day with several tests. Some of the students started to groan. Iruka shot them all a glare. As I was saying, several tests to see where everyone's at. After explaining the daily schedule for normal academy days and the tests they will be doing today, Iruka starts passing around the written tests to everyone. Iruka looks to see if everyone has a test and nods to himself. Okay, you will have 1 hour to complete this to the best of your knowledge. The test goes over information that was in the textbook you were given 2 weeks ago after the entrance exam. Begin. Naruto picked up his pencil and started on his test. After looking over the questions, he smiled to himself. It seemed as though all that reading paid off. After Iruka called for everyone to hand in their test, Naruto nodded, happy with his answers. Iruka organized a stack of papers before he noticed that it was time for lunch. Now you all are dismissed for lunch, and you have 1 hour to be back here. Don't be late. Naruto followed the other students outside to the lunch area. Looking around for a spot to eat, he decided to sit under a tree that didn't have anyone nearby. He opened his bag that had his lunch inside, and he had prepared a homemade sandwich with steak, followed by tomatoes that he didn't like much, but Makoto-chan told him many times that he needed to eat all kinds of vegetables and fruits. The two people Naruto sat next to in the classroom walked up to him as he opened his bag. Hi, my name is Choji, this is Shikamaru. Can we sit with you? A smiling Choji asks while gesturing to the bored-looking Shikamaru next to him. Hello, I'm Naruto, you can sit if you want, Naruto said while internally happy that they wanted to eat with him. So, what did you two think about the test? Asked Naruto. He was curious if he was the only one to read over the textbook before class. I thought it was too troublesome, so I just finished as fast as I could and took a nap, Shikamaru said lazily. This caused Naruto to raise an eyebrow. I have seen old people with more pep in them than this guy. Naruto looks over to a chuckling Choji expectantly. Well, it was okay. I don't think I failed, Choji said shyly. Lunch turned into a comfortable silence as the three boys ate. Okay, everyone, lunch is over. The shout came from Iruka. Going back to his seat, he looks at his sensei expectantly for whatever is next. Now, we will spend the rest of the day in the training ground to finish the rest of the tests, Iruka said before leading the students to the academy training ground. The academy training ground wasn't anything special, and it had a variety of targets, a running track and an obstacle course for the older students to do. Okay, everyone, we will start with shuriken and kunai throwing. You will be graded and ranked, so take this seriously. Instructed Iruka, eyeing some of the students that didn't look all that interested. Naruto watched everyone go up and take their test. Naruto noticed that nobody got higher than 1 or 2 hits so far, and those were the clan children. Uchiha Sasuke. Called Iruka. Sasuke walked up and took his stance before he started throwing his shuriken. He surprised everyone by getting 4 tenths on shuriken and kunai, causing some of the girls to blush at his coolness, when he just turned around and walked off without saying a word. Uzumaki Naruto. Called Iruka, startling him out of his thoughts. He walks up to the post and picks up some shuriken, taking a breath and letting them fly like he has been practicing. Throwing the shuriken like he's been practicing, Naruto had a huge grin, having had 10 tenths shuriken. Looking over at Iruka-sensei, he sees a surprising look as Iruka wrote on his clipboard. Naruto grabs the kunai and hits 10 tenths again. Happy at having the best score, he turned to look at the rest of the class. The guys were kind of put off at a kid being so much better than them, and the girls were all looking at him with awe. Beating Sasuke, who is an Uchiha, it was just unbelievable. He must be a prodigy. I know beating an Uchiha on the first day. Plus, he's kinda cute with the whiskers. Naruto blushed at the last one. He walked over to Shikamaru, who was eyeing him differently than before, and a frowning Sasuke who looked like someone just stole his candy. What did you think of that, Shikamaru? Not too bad, huh? Shikamaru just looked at him for another second before turning away, deeming the situation troublesome. Sasuke steps forward not to be shown up by some nobody. Don't get used to it. I will beat you in taijutsu for sure. Challenged Sasuke. He's going to be number one like his older brother before him. Naruto, grinning as crazy, looked at Sasuke. I don't think so. I have been training since I was a kid, and I'm gonna be the best, said Naruto confidently. Sasuke just brushed it off and waited for the taijutsu spars to start knowing the last names they would be paired with. He would show the nobody then. Shikamaru raised an eyebrow at Naruto's words. They were only 6 years old, and he talked as if he was at least 10 years old. After what Iruka thought was above average accuracy results for first ace students, he flipped the page on his clipboard. Now we will start on the paired sparring. When I call your names to come up and get into your stance, all styles are permitted, family or otherwise. Uchiha Sasuke, Uzumaki Naruto, you two are up. Iruka called out, and he would never admit to favoring any student over another. But he was excited to see this match. Walking up to the ring, Naruto got into the loose stance for the style he's been practicing. Sasuke got into his stance, which Naruto noticed was like Itachi style. After hearing Iruka shout begin, Naruto rushes in at Sasuke. Sasuke was taken off guard at how fast the blonde was. He barely avoided the punch to his face, and went for a leg sweep. Naruto vaulted over Sasuke and kicked him in the back, making him stumble forward. Naruto uses the opportunity to rush Sasuke. Sasuke, who was regaining his balance from being kicked, rolled back to get to his feet and charged at Naruto. Both engaged in an impressive bout of taijutsu. Naruto saw an opening and sunk his fist into Sasuke's stomach, making him double over. Naruto follows up with a kick, knocking Sasuke back and onto his back, then rushes over and points a kunai in Sasuke's face. Enough. Winner Naruto. Called out an impressed Iruka. Walking back over to the class and Iruka-sensei, Naruto notices the girls and the guys were surprised that someone could beat Sasuke. The Uchiha are usually the best in taijutsu, and Naruto took him down on the first day of class. Whispers were heard, man shurikenjutsu and now taijutsu. This kid has to be some kind of prodigy, no way he isn't. One civilian boy said to another, both nodding, wow, he beat Sasuke-kun so easily, what a handsome guy. A blonde-haired girl in purple said to a white pink-haired girl who just shook her head repeatedly. Okay, everyone, that is all for today. You can head home, the test results will be given back tomorrow, said Iruka looking at Naruto a little longer than the others. Hokage's office. Iruka stood in front of the third Hokage going through his report. To be expected from a class with most of the clan heirs, they did better than average. However, when Naruto Uzumaki stood out from the rest, he scored 10 tenths on both shuriken and kunai, and beat Sasuke Uchiha in taijutsu. Also, his test score on the written exam this morning was quite surprising, and that he knew most of the material. The only person that came close was a civilian girl by the name of Sakura Haruno. He has the makings of a genius. We should keep an eye on him, possibly even putting him in a higher grade to give him more of a challenge. Reported Iruka. The third nodded to himself. Where would you put his performance compared to the other years? The third was curious about the little blonde talent, and whether or not he should be moved up yet. I would say here's 2 or 3 possibilities, and we won't know for sure until we cover more material. Answered Iruka. Here's a nodded, okay, dismissed. With a quick Hokage-sama. Iruka laughed, taking out his crystal ball and watching a certain blonde boy read a book while eating dinner, and sighed. If he continues like this, people will put 2 and 2 together. He is pretty much a clone of his father, and if word spreads of a spiky blonde-haired blue-eyed genius, people will find out who he is. Which is something that would be a big headache should that spread to some other countries like Iowa. I should classify his info and his parents' info on a much higher level to be safe, a good thing not too many people know anyway. The third took out his pipe and puffed on his glorious tobacco before getting back to work. Naruto went through hand seals. After ending in the snake seal, he called out, Earth release. Earth-style wall. A massive wall of solid earth shot up from the ground before him. Proud of his now 5th mastered jutsu, Naruto started reminiscing about his time in the academy so far. Naruto's shurikenjutsu has gotten to a level that stationary targets weren't even difficult anymore. He's starting to practice wire techniques, something that only the most skilled in shurikenjutsu learn. In taijutsu, Naruto hasn't learned any new styles. He still relies on the Uchiha style form and the unnamed style from the book he was given from Itachi. Naruto has made alterations to both styles to fit his small body, albeit average for his age. He changed the style to focus heavily on speed and counterattacks. In jutsu, Naruto can say he is at the top of his class, but he doesn't know anything other than the Sharingan Genjutsu. Naruto was disappointed to find that in the academy library, only Genjutsu theory was covered. He would have to wait until he was again in to make any headway in the illusion department. In ninjutsu, Naruto's most pleased with his progress. After receiving the scroll of jutsu from Itachi, he added 5 new jutsu, which he had just mastered last one. The others include the water release. Jet stream. This jutsu has many forms, a white cone of water to a concentrated stream. The more chakra, the further the range. Fire release. Flame bullet. This was a smaller version of Ichiha's famous fireball jutsu. Wind release. Wind bullets. Another chakra-dependent jutsu in that the more chakra fed into the technique, the more bullets produced and the stronger they would be. Lastly is his favorite jutsu so far, lightning release. Lightning stream. The user would extend 2 fingers after condensing lightning chakra, and release it all at once in a stream. It was mostly a stunning jutsu, but with enough chakra and control, it could pierce or even kill. Right now, Naruto put his hand on his pocket to see the kunai Shisui had gifted him for his birthday, and Mikoto made the sweater he was wearing. Just the thought of the last winter put a smile on his face. Naruto knew this was how family felt like, and he would give it all to protect them. The snow had started for 5 weeks now. Naruto stood in his apartment. Thankfully the fire was ablaze in the fireplace, and it was warm despite the minus temperature outside. Naruto couldn't help but just look at the snow as it was falling. He didn't know why, but it was very relaxing. Naruto also knew the new year would be today. Therefore, a lot of celebrations will be around the hidden leaf. Thankfully the new year would distract the people, and Naruto found it this day as the only few days when he could go outside without anyone glaring at him. Naruto gently touched the new jacket he was wearing. Mikoto-chan had bought it for him this birthday. Itachi had given him 2 fire jutsu scrolls. As he kept looking at the snow outside, he suddenly felt 2 chakras right outside his door. A huge smile erupted on his face like a volcano. "That's who it is?" Shisui asked from behind the door. Itachi rolled his eyes and was about to knock when the door opened, and Naruto jumped at him like an arrow and hugged him. "Nai-san," he shouted in joy. Itachi smiled and gave Shisui a look. "I told you so," and the other Uchiha grunted. "So you love him more than me? You win me, Naruto," Shisui said, whipping away an imaginary tear from his face and his right hand on his heart. Both Itachi and Naruto chuckled. The young blonde pulled away and turned to look at Shisui. "Well, Itachi is my Nai-san, and you're like an uncle," Naruto stated with a smirk on his face. This caused dark clouds to suddenly appear at the top of Shisui's head, and started raining only at him, despite the cold temperature. An uncle," Shisui repeated, hugging his legs with a low tone of despair. Both Itachi and Naruto sweat dropped at the behavior of the Uchiha prodigy. Naruto thought about where the clouds even came from, and could have sworn that he heard a voice inside his head. Just like Hashirama, is he secretly a senju? Naruto didn't know where the voice came from and decided to ignore it. Just joking around, Shisui, of course, you my big brother. This caused Shisui to suddenly stand up and put his hand around his neck and rub his spiky hair with his other hand. "You little brat," Shisui said jokingly, rubbing his hair much to the annoyance of Naruto, who was desperately trying to escape the grasp of Shisui. Itachi smiled and could see a slight smile on Naruto's face, despite his mouth saying something else. "Now Naruto, today is a celebration. Mother wants you to celebrate with us," Itachi said, hoping the little blonde would accept despite his little brother having a tendency to talk shit to Naruto for whatever reason. Naruto thought to say no since he didn't want to cause any trouble, but he decided to spend this day with his 2 big brothers despite his better judgment. "Fine," he said before pointing an accusing finger at Shisui. "But if this one throws snowballs at me when I'm not looking, I will kick both of your butts until we reach the Uchiha compound," Naruto said with a half-joking tone. Shisui, when he heard his demand, hit a snowball behind his back and grinned innocently at Naruto. "Naruto, why would I ever do such a thing?" Shisui said, whipping away imaginary tears with his free hands. Before Naruto could respond, a snowball hit his blonde hair with Shisui grinning and immediately ran away. "Good luck, Itachi," he said while running. Before the Uchiha prodigy could understand why Shisui said that, he saw Naruto making the biggest snowball. "Haha, Itachi said, running with Naruto hot on his trail. "Come back here, both of you," Naruto demanded and started a chase of cat and mouse. Naruto found Shisui and hid him behind his back. This blonde ran away with Shisui chasing him holding 2 snowballs in his hand. "Come back here, sunshine, I just want to play," Shisui demanded playfully. Naruto grinned madly. With his sensor, he quickly found Itachi hiding at the top of a pole. Naruto dodged a snowball that hit Itachi in the face. Itachi glared at both of them before chasing them around like crazy. "Come back, both of you, right now," Itachi demanded as he threw snowballs at both of them. After 1 hour of chasing each other around the village, they stopped playing, with Naruto grinning and raising 9 fingers from his hands. "Only 9 times, you lose, Shisui," he said, causing him to pout before he started rubbing his blonde hair. Naruto laughed and tried to move his hand away. Later, around 5 p.m., people had started hanging around the village, visiting restaurants and many different shops. Naruto reached the Uchiha compound, both his brothers standing at his side, but Naruto couldn't help but notice the small glares coming at him, but this time they were different. He had seen hateful eyes his whole life, but these eyes were different. Naruto just couldn't put it together why it felt different. The blonde decided to ignore them, and was happy to know Shisui was spending the day with them. Since Shisui was an orphan, he had decided to spend the night with Itachi's family. PSS, Naruto the blonde turned to his right to see Shisui, gesturing for him to walk closer. Itachi ignored them. Hey Naruto, tonight, our Itachi is inviting a lady friend. You as a little brother, should 100% try to support him to make a move. Naruto's eyes widened at his eyes, and he couldn't stop but look at Itachi in surprise. Her name is Izumi. When she arrives, make sure to tell her how much our innocent Itachi talks about her when she isn't around. Shisui whispered with his arm around the blonde's neck. Naruto had no idea that this Izumi even existed. He just nodded his head despite having no idea what actually to say to her. Shisui grinned and patted his back and started acting as if nothing was said, much to Itachi's annoyance. Who had a guess? Home. Ka-chan, I'm home, Itachi said, followed closely by Naruto. Shisui had left saying he needed to do something first. Itachi-kuno, Naruto-kun, is good to have you here, Mikoto said, smiling, walking towards them before Naruto could process it. Mikoto hugged him tightly and kissed his cheek. It's good to have you here, Naruto-kun, she whispered and pulled away and walked back. Naruto smiled. Walking inside, he saw Sasuke was reading a scroll laid on the table in front of him. He turned and saw Itachi. Itachi, can you show me tomorrow how to do the flower fire jutsu? Sasuke asked. The smile on Itachi's face faded slightly. The older Uchiha had told Sasuke to come with them to play snowballs, but Sasuke had refused, saying that he needed to get stronger to show how much stronger the Uchiha clan was. Maybe Sasuke, you should enjoy it today and play. You shouldn't see each day you live as a test. Sasuke pouted before his eyes hardened at noticing the blonde, who this time didn't bother with him, but just went to the kitchen. After helping Mikoto-chan with the biscuits and other desserts, Naruto was mixing something that he wasn't sure what. Thank you for helping, Naruto-kun. You are really good at cooking. Just like she stopped mid-sentence, knowing what she almost had said. The Kage had specifically told her and a few others that he would tell Naruto the truth when he thinks that he's ready. Naruto, of course, knew. Like who? Like your mother. Your face is just like hers, but the hair and eyes of your father, Mikoto said, feeling tears developing in her eyes. Thank you. No one tells me about them. I appreciate it, and I'm thankful for everything that you did for me, Naruto said, smiling. You can call me Ka-chan when we are alone, Naruto. I don't mind, Mikoto said, rubbing his blonde hair. Naruto hides his face away from her and whips away the tears. Thank you for loving me, he mentally said. 9 p.m. Naruto was sitting on the couch chatting with Shisui about something. Fugaku had arrived early today and spoke something with Itachi and Sasuke when a knock was heard on the door. Come in, Fugaku said, but Itachi stood up immediately to open the door. But the door opened, revealing a girl around Itachi's age, long dark hair. Naruto had to admit that his brother had chosen quite a beautiful one. Izumi-chan, is good to have you here, Itachi said, smiling and blushing slightly, much to the amusement of both Naruto and Shisui, who were grinning like crazy. Oh, how are you doing, Izumi-chan, Mikoto said, winking at Itachi's face, whose face turned red in embarrassment. Mikoto welcomed Izumi inside and made sure that Itachi was sitting right beside her. Naruto, at this point, was barely holding his laughter. The big brother who he thought was invincible was completely defenseless. Even the stoic Sasuke looked amused by what was happening with his brother. Soon Fugaku brought a gift for Itachi and Sasuke. For Itachi, he gave him a scroll with air ink on the top, while for Sasuke, he gave him several kunai and shurikens that weren't real sharp, but mostly for target practice. Naruto was happy when Mikoto brought him a little box, much to his surprise. Open it. Naruto opened it to find a red scarf that was perfect for him. Do you like it? Thank you so much, Naruto said, smiling like never before. While this happened, Shisui looked at his little brother's happy face, and he remembered the most important thing in this world again. Almost 12 a.m. Naruto was outside, standing just looking at the sky, the snow falling on his face. He heard footsteps. He turned his head to see Shisui sitting close to him. Beautiful night. Indeed, I wish this moment would never end, Naruto said, melancholy. Shisui turned to him and put his hand on his shoulder. I know what you go through, Naruto. I lost my parent at a very young age. I don't even remember them anymore, but you have me, Naruto, and I will do anything to protect my little brother. Shisui gave him a side hug. At the other side of the house, Itachi stood with Izumi watching the snow falling. I really like your family, Itachi, she said, grabbing his hand and intervening her fingers with his. Before Itachi could say anything, Izumi brought her lips to his. Today, as Naruto walked inside the academy, he felt a cold shiver around his whole body. He turned around but didn't see anyone and couldn't feel anyone. Shisui was looking from a far distance, and his eyes became Mingekyo. I will protect my home and family, even if it results to this. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want the next part of this video, like, subscribe and comment down below, and turn on the bell notification. And also check out other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.